Hello, where is Yom Kippurim? Beragim Aloha Beis. Heichen Magvil. Where is this lottery take place? Let's go down to the Purish. Heichen Magvil. Where does this lottery take place? The Mizrach HaZorah, in the east side of the Hazorah, B'tzoven HaMizbeach, to the north of the Mizbeach. There you would place the box that holds the two lotteries. And you place the two goats with their faces towards the Beis Hamikdash, which is to the west, and their rear is to the east. The Kohen Gadol the Kohen Gadol comes to that area, and the vice Kohen Gadol is to his right, the Rosh Beis of the Smoiloi, and the person who is the head of that week's family that is of Kahanim that is doing the Avodah, which they were divided into 24 families. Now, what is this vice? This vice Kohen Gadol? We find it that he's from. They established one Kohen. He should be Kohen Gadol, like an assistant. And he's called the vice, and he's considered the person who is appointed. He stands to the right of the Kohen Gadol always, and that's the honor to do so, not other Kohanim. When the Kohen Gadol would go to a place where he would go take the lotteries, the Skan would go to his right, and the Rosh Beis would go to his left. It means that this, as we mentioned, that the families were divided up into 24 families, and each mishmar, each watch, was a week, and it was a family of Kahanim, and they would do that for that week. That was their week. And in Shabbos they would change. That's the day when the watches would change. The old ones would go out, and the new ones would come in. And you find all the details regarding how it's done in the Klei Hamikdash, Peragim Aloha Tes. Every watch would be divided up into households, families, and there's a question if it was divided up into 6 different households for the 6 days of the week, that every day of the week a different family was officially on charge. On Shabbos, everyone did it together, or they were divided into 7 days, and every day a different family would do it, and the one who was appointed for that household is called the head of the house. The Meiri explains that Rosh Beis Av is for that day, if it wouldn't be Yom Kippur, because in Yom Kippur, it's the only one who can do it is actually the Kohen Gadol anyway. Tzich Yitzchak adds, according to those who are of the opinion that in Yom Kippur there were lotteries, and there were certain things that were not done by the Kohen Gadol. And one of these might be even like the mixing of the blood on the 4th step. Therefore, for the head of the Beis Av would do it also in Yom Kippur, the same work. And the Rambam continues, the 2 goats are in front of him before he makes the lottery. Echod Liminoi, one is placed to his right or standing to his right, Echod Lismole, and one to his left. This Vas Emes on the Mishnah Yuma 39a points out that Rashi explains that they would stay one to his right and one to his left. Why do you have to emphasize this? It would seem that as long as they didn't establish the place, you can't have a lottery because you have to know who you're doing it for, because you can put it on whichever one he wants. If they're standing in this position, one to his right and one to his left, then when the lottery comes up on his right, it is meant for the goat that's to his right, and the lottery that comes up on his left is meant for the one to his left, and therefore they should be standing in that position. As we said earlier, the Kohen Gadol would make a lottery in the east of the Azorah, to the north of the Mizbeach. In the Mishnah Yuma it says he would go to the Mizrach, to the east of the Azorah, to the north of the Mizbeach. And Rashi explains that he would come to the side of Mizrach. Now that's actually where you came into the Azorah, the Great Way, and they didn't bring it into the Azorah And they did not bring the goats all the way up to the house, but rather by the gateway. And how do I know it has to be in the Azor? Why can't it be outside? Because it says V'lokach in Vayikra, it says he will take the two seirim, the goats, and place them before Hashem at the entrance of Oil Moed. And afterwards it says, and Aaron will place on the two goats lotteries. So therefore we see that it has to be in the front before Hashem, and that's always in the courtyard. That means the minimum of the courtyard. Then when the Kohen Gadol comes to slaughter the soya, which upon it came the goyra of the lottery of Hashem, he would bring that to the western side near the Heichal, which is the outer section of the Beis Hamikdash, as we find in the Mishnah in 43b. It would bring it to him, and there he would slaughter it. The Mishnah adds that the shlichita has to be to the north of the Mizbeach, meaning to the side of north, and between the east to the north of the Azorah, because the slaughtering of the soya has to be in Sofrim. The Kodesh HaKadosh, the holiest of offerings, were always in the north of the Mizbeach, and there's a whole disagreement as how much area that took up. And therefore, the Argol has to be in the north of the Mizbeach, to the northern side of the eastern section, corner. As we say, that's where we place the goats. It's near Shar Nikronor, which is the eastern gate of the Azorah. And Mayim Chaim points out that we find this in a Bryce in Teres Kahanim. You place them between the Mizbeach and the Koisel, the northern Koisel of Shar Niknor. So we find in the Avodah, in the Piyut, Atok and Anto, we say in Musaf Yom Kippur, that he came to Shar Niknor, meaning the Kohen Gadol would go backwards to Shar Niknor, after when he had to send away the scapegoat. But the bull that Kohen Gadol said viduing, Rambam writes, as it says in the Mishnah, that he would come to his bull, where was it found? It was found between the Ulam and the Mizbeach. It wasn't by the gateway. And the Ulam was to the west of the Mizbeach, Ubein Ulam Mizbeach, Amad Porish or Kohen Gadol. In the case of the Mishnah, we find that the Rambam emphasized that you place the two goats with their face to the west, which is facing the Heichel. Why is this so? Because the bull, they wouldn't put it since it was between the Mizbeach and the Heichel, they didn't want it facing the Mizbeach, the Heichel, because then its rear would be to the Mizbeach. And therefore, they would place it between north and south, facing south, but then they would turn its head to face west. But the two Seirim, they don't have to worry about this, because they weren't standing with their backs to the Mizbeach.